Hey everybody, welcome back to Two and a Half Geeks, Hot Hardware's Two and a Half Geeks. I'm Dave Altavilla, and I have my compatriots with me today, the illustrious Marco Chiappetta and the ever crazy, wild, and woolly Paul Lilly. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah? You sure about that?
A little sleep deprived, a little jet lagged, but the show must go on.
The show
Well,
must go on.
you look good. That's all that matters, right?
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that, Paulie.
It's not how you feel, it's how you look. Who was that? Fernaldo or whatever the hell that guy's name was?
To feel good.
Marco just came back from the left coast. He was out seeing the folks at AMD, something top secret and otherwise NDA'd, right?
Most of it NDA'd. There was some news that hit yesterday about some energy efficiency goals that AMD exceeded, but the real juicy stuff is under embargo, yes.
Juicy stuff you cannot know about it. We'll have to kill you, so we'll do you a favor and not tell you. For now, Paul, how are you doing this week? You've been busy, yes?
I have been busy. I'm pretty good. It's been a trying week. I upgraded my phone through Sprint, and you probably saw some of my Facebook posts. That was a process. But
Yeah?
It's the end of the week. I'm feeling good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it is Friday. Happy Friday. We're shooting on Friday. You may not watch this on Friday. If you're watching the live stream, welcome everybody. It's good to be back. We've been out for a little bit. We've been busy in briefings and writing up launch pieces and all kinds of good stuff. So let's dive right in, gentlemen. In the land of graphics, the folks at AMD introduced the Radeon R9 Nano, which is a little fella of a graphics card, Marco, right? You took a look at that and ran it through its paces.
Yes, absolutely. You know, small in stature but big on performance. The R9 Nano, AMD showed it off in June, back when we were at E3, and they were talking about Fury X and Fiji and high bandwidth memory and all the goodness that comes along with their latest architecture. It was up on stage, and the only things that AMD said about it was it's full Fiji, and wow, look how small it is. So the card finally arrived, and if you come by the site and check out the full review, spend some time on the first page. Don't skim, because it's an interesting story. If you look at the specs, the R9 Nano looks very much like a Fury X. All of the same number of stream processors enabled, same number of texture units. The GPU itself is a fully functional Fiji GPU. And if you look at the specs, it's really only it looks like it's only a 5% decrease in max clock speed versus the water-cooled high-end Fury X. So if you look at the specs, the Nano seems like it would be faster than the air-cooled one-notch down Fury. But in testing, it turns out it's a few percentage points behind the Fury. So you have Fury X, a little bit behind that you have Fury, and then you have R9 Nano. And it turns out that's the case because AMD had to tweak the power controls and the max clock to stay in this super tiny form factor. Like, you really can't appreciate how small this card is until you hold it. It is just super tiny. There is nothing else in this form factor that can offer this kind of performance. I think Dave's scrolling through some of the benchmark numbers now. You're talking a card that is faster than GTX 980, GTX 970, not quite as fast as a 980 Ti or a Fury X, but 6 inches in length, single power connector, at stock settings, very quiet. All of the advanced features of AMD's Fiji architecture. It's just really impressive that AMD pulled it off in such a small form factor. Now, Dave's got the card now. He's got something exciting coming with it a little later. Dave, now that you've seen it and played with it, what do you think?
It actually it kind of blew me away. I mean, it's your basic. It's half length. What's the average full length graphics card these days? Is it 10 inches?
So from like 10 to 11 and a half, depending which high-end card and whether it's whether it's a custom or reference, it's a little, not quite half the size. But if you come at the site, look at the pictures of the comparisons, you'll see this thing it's freaking small. It's like it's hard to appreciate without looking at the pics. Go to the last page, Dave. I have a comparison pic right on the last page.
All right, let me pull that up. That's a good idea. So the last page, yeah, I mean this thing is 6 inches. It fits in the palm of your hand, and
So
there it is versus the full-length card.
On top of an R9 390. Now,
Okay.
look at that thing. It's tiny. This is one of those times where size doesn't matter.
Not in the traditional sense anyway.
No.
So-
It's not the size of the PCB, it's how you use it.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, if you're looking at this thing, it's actually really the mechanical length of the PCI Express connector plus room for the header and a few other things. Yeah, it's impressive, and it's impressive the performance you get in such a small package. It blew me away. I mean, versus the Fury, the standard Fury on Air, it's within a couple percentage points of that card, and it does so in like almost half the length. And so really power efficient, really space efficient, cool, quiet to a certain degree. I guess you had a little bit of coil whine going on, maybe. Is that what we heard?
So that's one issue, right? And this is a known issue. It wasn't just my sample. I had a conversation with AMD about this. There is some inductor whine on the card. So at idle, it's quiet. You don't hear anything. Under load, you kind of hear that whine that kind of fluctuates up and down under load. Now, I test all my graphics cards in a case. The side panel is off, so it's noticeable. In all honesty, if you close up a case and you throw it under a desk, it does mute the sound, but it doesn't go away. So that's going to be a big drawback for some. Some people aren't going to care, because if you're gaming with headphones, you're definitely not going to hear it. But if this is going to be in your living room as a home theater PC, you're going to hear it and you're not going to like it. Another negative, while we're talking about home theaters, no HDMI 2.0 unless you get a DisplayPort adapter. So you can get adapters that go from DisplayPort to HDMI 2 if you want those corner cases that want 60 hertz 4K.
Yeah.
But the card itself, the HDMI port it's 1.4, I think. I'm so tired I can't remember exactly, but it's not HDMI 2. Now a plus, if you don't mind tweaking with some quick little simple overclocking, just upping the power target and boost clock a little, you can get to Fury levels of performance. And if you don't mind cranking the fan speed up and jacking up the dials all the way, you can almost get to Fury X in this tiny little form factor. It's a hot little card.
Yeah.
The one thing that people have to consider, though, and if AMD priced it a little lower, it would have been a home run. They priced the Nano at the exact same level as the Fury X.
Right.
So $650, flagship pricing, but not quite. It's killer performance, but not flagship performance. So you're being forced to make a decision. If that form factor is premium enough for you, you're going to have to pay for it. If form factor doesn't matter all that much, if you want to build a mini ITX rig and just go with a slightly larger case that can accommodate a bigger graphics card, by all means, you can do that. But if you want the tiniest little form factor, there's a premium involved right now. Whether it stays that way long term, I'm hearing hints that maybe it's not going to, but for now, $650.
Yeah, the card, when you look at it, it's sort of like the poster child for HBM, right? I mean, it basically demonstrates what's possible with high bandwidth memory, with that integrated GPU and memory complex all on one chip, plunked down on a board. You save all that PCB real estate, that keep out area of GDDR5, those implementations with 4 gigs and up, and how much more power and board space a GDDR5 design takes versus HBM. So it's a really great showcase for HBM. The flip side of that is, and you and I talked about this, Marco, HBM right now is expensive. I'm not sure what the yield is. I don't think we're ever going to really know. The companies don't talk about that. But yield percentages are undoubtedly lower with HBM right now, and so there's definitely more cost involved. But the benefit is, performance per square millimeter and per watt is top shelf. It doesn't get any better right now, right?
Yeah, there was huge power improvements over FureX. I think the difference under load was something like 90 watts. Only single power connector. Of course, the phone's going to ring because we're live. Who am I going to hang up on? It's a private caller. We're not going to find out. But yeah, Dave's 100% correct. The Nano is really a showcase for what Fiji and HBM can do in terms of form factor. Now,
So,
go
with,
ahead.
with with that being the case, do you think this is a one-off design, or do you think AMD is going to continue to offer, the high-end cards in the, in the 5-inch or 6-inch form factor?
I think one of the main benefits of HBM are being able to produce these tiny form factor cards, and I think we'll see more stuff like this. Now, if GTX 980 Ti wasn't so strong, the Nano almost shows there's no point for the Fury X. If AMD made it a little bit louder and cranked up the clocks a little bit, and this is right up there with the fastest single GPU graphics card they've ever built. Yeah. So it's pretty killer.
Would you want one, Paul? Are you envious?
Definitely for a small build, because I'm starting to appreciate the mini ITX form factor, because you're getting motherboards out now that are more capable than they were before, and today's processors. So you throw something like this in there, you can build a little bitty box and not sacrifice performance. So I like what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm all about cool and quiet computing, and especially like cool when you're doing some heavy workload. There's nothing worse than being in your office and having your PC be your computer being a small space heater. And the nice thing about this, when you see it and you see the form factor, it's just obviously so much more efficient, so much cooler, so much smaller, and it's great stuff. We need more of that. It's nice to have the Gorilla graphics card that is the fastest, gets every bit of, the top frames per second in any game engine you can throw at it. But there's something to be said for efficiency, as long as AMD gets that price down, right? So hopefully they can work on that. And
So
you said they hinted at that, Marco, maybe. What's that?
What's the word on NVIDIA? Are they working up a counterpoint to this card?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they have to necessarily. There were some companies that made tiny 970s, and I had one in the article to compare it to. And if somebody wanted to, I could see them making a small 980. But I don't know. I
think you're talking next gen, though, right? Is when they're really going to.
In terms of next gen, NVIDIA will have HBM2 on Pascal,
right?
Which they'll likely be able to do something similar if they want. So I'm sure these smaller form factor cards are going to be popular, especially as soon as Dave brings up the next product we're going to talk about. Yes. Lots of boutique builders are making these really nice small form factor PCs, and OEMs are just going to be all over this kind of stuff. It enables new possibilities in form factor without sacrificing much in terms of performance.
Like this, it enables things like this. This would be the we'll shift gears now. The Dell Alienware X51 R3. Little Alienware head on the bottom. As you can see, not a whole heck of a lot bigger than like an Xbox 360. Taking up the frame, it looks huge, right? But about the size of your average console. A full PC with Skylake on board, the latest quad-core Skylake 6700K in this machine. DDR4, all that good stuff. A PCI Express NVMe Samsung SSD that cranks out over I think it's 1.3 gigabytes a second of bandwidth on the SSD. And under the hood for graphics is an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 960. Now, one of the things that we noticed in this rig, and very well built, very cool, very quiet. Very power efficient as well, would go excellent in the living room, certainly hooking up to the TV, streaming 4K video, and gaming, and Steam Big Picture, and all that goodness that comes with a home theater PC. But one of the things we noticed was it's so juiced in so many areas, like the CPU and the drive, but the GPU that was enabled inside this particular build right now, this SKU from Alienware, was a little modest. It was a little unbalanced for for the design. They have a lot of CPU horsepower, a lot of SSD horsepower, and the GPU on board. It's a good mid-range card, and you can game right on up through 1440p, 1080p for sure, at high image quality with a GTX 960, no question about it. But it is also a begging for a Nano, right? And so inside this right now, we've got the Radeon R9 Nano, and I'm going to be doing a sort of a transplant upgrade video on that shortly. However, unfortunately, right now there's a little bit of a design problem with supporting a Nano. It's more of a power profile and tweak to the BIOS firmware update, if you will, that the folks at Alienware have to perform to enable it. I don't know if I'm speaking out of school here, but it's not NDA or anything like that. But it's not quite ready yet. The power capability, the power envelope of the machine certainly would support a Nano graphics card, no problem. You're talking about a 175 watt graphics card. I think the brick is 330 watts. I mean, the machine pushes, you know, with the 960, something like only 150 watts under full load. So it's got plenty of power headroom in the external power brick, and it does come with an AC power adapter. But yeah, it's a perfect application for the i9 Nano. Just working with the folks at Dell and Alienware right now to see if we can't enable that. There's just, again, a couple of different voltage ramps that have to be supported for the Nano, but thermally and power-wise, it works. And certainly form factor-wise, it's actually significantly smaller than the 960 that was in there, with a lot more horsepower to go with it. So hoping to bring some fun stuff there. But yeah, we took a look at this machine, and really impressive stuff. This is the third iteration of the X51 R3 is what they call it. I'm going to share this out to everybody. There you go. Really cool. Obviously, you've got Alien Effects lighting that is built in. You can customize a bunch of different zones with their software tools, Alien Effects software. So, you know, like the side of it over here, we could illuminate in different colors, a whole rainbow of colors. The alien head up front, you know, so some cool bling. And again, decked out with a Core i7 6700K. It's water cooled, really cool, self-contained water cooler in this thing. Let me see if I can pull that up. And yeah, here you go. So there's a look at the 960, just pulled out of the machine. And let me see if I can get a shot. You can see the water cooler right here, up on this right-hand shot here. Very small, self-contained water cooler, very quiet. Look at the design of the graphics card and SSD here, though. This is pretty cool. I was impressed by this design. I'm going on and on. I'll take a breath and you guys can jump in, but this impressed the heck out of me. What you're looking at there is a PCI Express riser card for all intents and purposes that the GTX 960 plugs into on a perpendicular slot on the back side of that blue PCB board that you see, and then that blue PCB board plugs into the slot inside the chassis. So it mounts it sort of on the horizontal. And as you can see, that gumstick PCI Express NVMe Samsung SSD is right here. The card edge itself on this blue PCB is actually a by 20. It's not your standard by 16 slot. It's a custom by 20 slot. By 16 for the graphics card, by 4 for the SSD. So really cool design that enabled, you know, to get that SSD and the graphics card into a single slot, and provide additional room inside the case and get all that horsepower down right to the CPU complex. You know, you get a by 20 right to the CPU. So very efficient, very fast, very low latency, and just kudos to the folks at Dell and Alienware for that design. I really like that aspect of it. The geek inside me like that. What do you guys think?
Great, Paul.
It's pretty creative, the design. I hadn't actually read the review yet. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. No, I mean that was a cool little custom innovation by Dell. It shows the merits of the machine. You know, guys like me look at the design and You've got a 2 terabyte, Toshiba hard drive in there as well. So you've got your bulk storage. You get that 256 gig PCI Express NVMe SSD for a boot drive, and then your full by 16 graphics, DDR4, all the goodness of top end flagship gaming PC. Could use a little bit more GPU horsepower. Marco, what do you think of this beast, this little beast?
I love that little rig, and I can understand why the configuration has a GTX 960. Alienware is targeting your living room, targeting a space where a console would go, and really the max resolution for 99% of people is going to be 1080p on their television. So, yeah, it's got a super fast CPU and SSD in there, but you can get by with the GTX 960 at 1080p for so much stuff that I could see why they did it, keep costs down and keep power down. But I dig, so that machine sort of shows what Dell's infusion to Alienware could do. Like that custom mount for the SSD and GPU, that's just cool. Getting that tiny water cooling setup in that case, like it just being able to have those resources to do that design work is pretty awesome. That's a nice little rig right there.
Yeah, and there's a shot of the cooler. I just put that up for everybody to see. So yeah, this is the cooler. Look at little squirrel cage fan in the back, self-contained little water block and pump, all integrated into, I don't know, maybe it's 4 or 5 inches by 3 inches tall. I mean, it's nothing, but it keeps the Skylake CPU, the quad-core Skylake CPU on board at like I think it's overclocked slightly to 4.4 gigahertz, maybe it's 4.6. I don't know if I have my numbers right, but yeah, slightly overclocked from the factory, and keeps it cool as a cucumber and quiet. And so just really, impressive design chops from the folks at Dell on this one. I think they took the X51 that we, knew and loved and did well in the market, the X51 R1 and then R2 and now the R3. I think they took this with this R3 iteration, really did a nice job of amping it up in a lot of different spots, and we're looking forward to amping it up a little bit more with Nano. So stay tuned for that. I'll be in the studio with that hopefully as soon as the folks at Dell work their magic and get that thing enabled in the BIOS. Paulie, you took a look at something size and cost efficient as well, right? From the folks at Asus?
Sure did. Yeah, it's Asus. Their new ZenPad S 8.0. Give you guys a little shot of this here. Ooh. Let me jump straight to the price on this thing. They're selling it for, the one that we had is $300. They also have a version that's $200 with half the amount of storage and RAM. But look at this thing. The nice premium design, high-end tablet. I think it looks better than its price tag. I'll run down the specs. It has an Intel Atom Z3580 processor. It's Moorfield. It's a quad-core part that's designed for the 8-inch and below tablets. This one has a 7.9-inch display, IPS panel, 2048 by 1536 resolution, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of storage with the micro SD slot in case you want to add more. As mentioned, there's a $200 version that'll have 2 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of storage. Has an 8 megapixel rear camera, 2 megapixel or 5 megapixel front camera, 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.1, and a USB Type-C port. It runs at 2.0 speeds, but you do have the Type-C connector. What I found when we benchmarked this was that performance compared to other tablets it bounced around from the upper end of the middle of the pack and sometimes towards the front of the pack. So it's not really going to break a lot of benchmark records, but as far as real-world use goes, it's a smooth operating tablet that feels fast. Performance doesn't feel hampered in any way. And like I said, the price for $300, I think this plays right into what Asus does, which they challenge the big guys with premium tablets and then they undercut them on price. We saw them do that with the Mimo Pad, and they're doing it here again with the ZenPad.
Yeah, good stuff. 4 gigabyte of RAM, and a really nice IPS display that you mentioned there, 2048 by 1536 or something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about premium features, like really premium features, not just a couple of little upgrades, but 4 gigabytes of RAM and 8 megapixel camera, 802.11ac Wi-Fi, all of the most leading edge amenities for $299 for what really is budget sort of tablet pricing.
Really, it's basically a better iPad Mini at a cheaper price.
We were talking about that. It's funny. Intel has taken a lot of lumps in mobile over the years recently, and whether it be Atom's lack of performance in previous generations, or the fact that Intel spent a boatload of money to finance their effort in tablets and smartphones. But we're really starting to see sort of the benefits of that now, right? I mean, Atom, this quad-core Atom that was in there, it has a PowerVR graphics core, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
But it's Intel Atom quad-core technology. It actually comes in, right in the middle of the pack to even the top end on a few of the benchmarks, right? It's a pretty strong chip. It's not a liability anymore.
Yeah, there's never a case where it was slow. I mean, it did hang around the middle of the pack, closer to the top of the middle, and like I said, sometimes it was right up there with the big guys as well. And for the money, it's hard to turn your nose up at it and look at something else.
Yeah. Good stuff. What do you think about that fellow, Marco? It's an Android tablet. It's x86 running Android. Are you holding out for more Windows goodness, or would you take the plunge?
I'm a Microsoftie, but I was playing with that tablet at IDF. I met with Asus and got to play with it before the announcement, and that, for the money, that is definitely a super premium Android tablet. Asus did a great job on that product. If you're entrenched in the Android ecosystem and you're looking for a tablet in that form factor, absolutely check it out because it's really nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna share it out here again as well. The back is actually really nice too. Sort of a textured, brushed aluminum finish with a little, for lack of better terms, pleather skid pad on the bottom that does a nice job of keeping it from sliding around the table. But that back finish there, that brushed aluminum finish, actually is one of the few devices I picked up recently that isn't a total fingerprint magnet. It actually completely eliminates fingerprints, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a diamond-shaped pattern, the brushed on the back. I don't know if you guys can quite see it on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely has a premium feel, especially compared to Amazon's Fire HD tablets, the 7-inch category. I reviewed one of those, I guess about a year ago, and one of my main complaints was that it was cheap, but it felt cheap, and this one does not. I mean, it feels like a high-end tablet.
So 8-inch slate, something for the holidays to consider. Running Android 5 Lollipop, the Asus ZenPad S 8.0, and there's actually a couple of different put-ups of it as well. Like, you got the 4 gig variety. I think there's a 2 gig variety for $199, right?
Yes, you get 2 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of internal storage, and it's $199.
Yeah.
Which is also a great deal. I mean, you might take a little bit of a performance hit with dropping the RAM down, but it wouldn't be significant, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I actually did a little video review of it embedded in your written review. So stop by the site, folks, if you want to check it out. We got a little hands-on demo as well, which will show you it in action, even running a few of the benchmarks. Let's move on to some of the headline news now. You guys want to talk about some juicy stuff in the news?
Sure.
Get off the hardware stuff, even though we're hot hardware. So yeah, let's move on. There interesting stuff this week, and some of it kind of crazy and polarizing, right? The young 14-year-old freshman high school student that decided he would build a project, a school project, electronics project, and we applaud his geek engineering chops for that. He basically built a clock and stuck it inside of a small little briefcase. And if you are perhaps uneducated, perhaps unfamiliar with electronics, and they're foreign to you, you may have mistaken it for a bomb. And so this young fellow, poor guy, Ahmed Mohamed is his name, went into his MacArthur High School in Irving, Texas, with his project. The teacher didn't like what she was looking at, called the authorities. The kid was taken away in cuffs, and a big to-do was made, national headlines. Everybody was talking about it, and I found it interesting. I figured I'd pick it for our discussion today because it's really a polarizing topic. And my first reaction, and I want to hear what you guys think about this. My first reaction was, BS. This is crap. Terrorists win. Here we are. We're trying to move on from 9/11. We're trying to live free, and you want to foster engineering and ingenuity and tech and all these intelligent kids, these super bright kids coming up through school. And isn't this a shame? This kid built something with his bare hands to demonstrate what he could do to show off his little school project, and we crushed that ingenuity, that enthusiasm like a bug with our fear, with our living in fear and the society that we're in today. It was a sad statement. And that was my first reaction. And my second reaction as a father was, holy crap, that thing kind of does look like a bomb if you don't know what you're looking at, and it's going into a school, and Columbine happened. You can name school after school, slaughters, just horrible atrocities. And yes, I can see the paranoia. I can see the fear, people reacting that way. Frankly, I can see the profiling. That's not right. That's not right. But I can see it. And one thing that occurred to me, as the father, when something goes down at our school, our local school, my kid's school, we get an email once in a while or a phone call, and this happened today, and out of an abundance of caution, they love to use this word, abundance of caution. Out of an abundance of caution, we decided to do this. So really, are we talking, we decided to protect, lock down the school. I mean, my wife's a school teacher. They do lockdown drills all the time.
Yeah, it was selective profiling, though. I mean, because they did profile the kid, obviously, but they didn't profile his NASA T-shirt that he was wearing when the police came and put him in handcuffs. Which,
Right.
come on, that's a little over the top to but it's a skinny kid. He didn't pose any physical threat. He's got him in handcuffs in front of his peers. He's a new student. He's a freshman. And also, when he first brought it to school, he showed it to his engineering teacher, who recognized what it was and told him, don't show the other teachers, because obviously he thought it looked a little suspicious. But if that's what it is, why not tell the other teachers, hey, it looks like this, but it's just a clock? Or why didn't anyone step in before the police were called and put the kid in handcuffs and then interrogate him?
I agree
Now
with
his
you.
parents or a lawyer present too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just wanted to sort of, for lack of better euphemisms, I wanted to pull the pin and toss it out there, right? Because you can see both sides. I mean, there's one thing for sure is you want kids safe in school, and if there's something that looks left to center, like could be you don't know, you want to make sure you cover your butt. And local law enforcement, somebody commented in our threads, local law enforcement isn't trained to identify what a bomb is. They're trained to cordon off the area and bring in the bomb squad. Let the trained team figure out what that thing is. So you get that. I don't buy the profiling angle. I think if there was a completely Anglo-Saxon, Irish kid walked in with it and bang, slapped down this briefcase full of wires and stuff, and it had a timer on it, what could have been determined a timer, he probably would have been flagged too. I mean, there's all kinds of stories, kids making guns out of different material, and a wood gun or a pop-type gun. I think somebody was flagged for that. All kinds of overreactions. It was definitely an overreaction, but I don't think the profiling angle is right. Marco, what do you think?
I think I'm going to have some unpopular views here. So I agree with but I agree with everything both of you said, 100%. I think the authorities probably overreacted. I'm assuming we have the whole story. They overreacted. This kid should not have been treated like that. I'm not saying he should have been treated like that. There's a couple things to consider, though. One is, what place was the teacher really coming from when she made the call? Was it genuine fear and she was acting in the best interest of the other kids, or was she profiling? If she's profiling, or I assume it was a she, that's messed up. If she had genuine fear because she didn't know, she did the right thing making the call.
Yeah.
The other thing to consider, and this is what I think is going to be unpopular, this may end up being the best thing that's happened to this kid. He's going to the White House. He's going to meet with Facebook. He's going to get, there's word that he might get a scholarship to MIT out of this. Like, this could be a good thing, and it's messed up what happened. I'm not saying that's good. I need to stress that. But ultimately, this could be a good thing for him, what comes out of this. It's also an election year, so I'm really skeptical of these stories that are so polarizing. I almost want to think we don't have the whole story, and it's being spun for media purposes.
Yeah.
But I think when you boil it down, is where was the teacher coming from when they made the call? If it was genuine fear and acting out of the best interest of all of the other kids, it was probably the right move to make the call. Yeah. How it was handled, not the right move. But making the call was smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, aftermath too, because I believe he's still suspended from school.
No, he's back.
He's going to switch schools anyway. He's talking about, but
when it comes to that kind of stuff, when it comes to safety issues, and I've got kids who are in high school years now, and when it comes to safety issues and even marginal infractions of a safety issue or regulation, that's the word I was looking for, there's zero tolerance. They don't even question it. They bring in the cops right away. It's like there's such a legal cover your butt process in place, because bad stuff has happened that that's sort of standard operating procedure. But yeah, once you figure out that this was a sanctioned electronics project, engineering project, whatever, that this child was told to bring it in. Once everybody had done their homework on how this all came to pass, to walk the kid away in cuffs and to have that. I mean, it's just like, if you can't, dot your I's and cross your T's without causing so much upheaval and damage, then yeah, the system's flawed. It seems. I don't know.
Yeah, I have to find something. If I don't find it in the next 10 seconds, I'll move on. But I'm friends with Steve Wozniak on Facebook, and when this went down, okay, here it is. So this is something Woz has on his status. Woz posted after this went down. He says, the story about the kid arrested for making a clock takes me back to high school in 1967. I built an electronic metronome and placed it in a friend's locker along with a tinfoil switch to speed up the ticking when the locker was opened. Oh. I couldn't hold my laughter when Principal Burld told me how he extracted the bomb, ran out to the football field, and dismantled it. I wound up spending a night in juvie. I did teach other inmates there how they could remove the electric wires from an overhead fan and attach them to the metal bars to shock the guards.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, this isn't an unheard of event. That was 1967. There's smart kids that make electronic things, and it all boils down to the original intent. Was it to protect or was it to profile? If it was to profile, it's messed up, because this is a smart kid and he's doing cool stuff, and that should be fostered. If it was out of protection, what do? It was handled incorrectly. But hopefully, ultimately, good stuff comes from this for Ahmed.
I agree. And it's interesting. I think you touched upon the fact that we might not know the entire story, and I think that's probably true. I've seen some comments on some of the boards that this family's been sort of in the news, national headline news in the past, sort of making a statement. I don't know if that may have been part of the angle here. You just don't know. But it is messed up. It is messed up that it could get that out of control, that out of hand, and we can't be better than that. We can't be better about keeping safety and following protocol and making sure you're covering your butt. But don't crucify a kid in the process and scare the heck out of everybody and make a big stink and have to get invited to the White House. But yeah, you're right. He's probably launched the kid into the tech stratosphere. He's going to be working for Facebook next, or Google, or somebody like that.
Exactly.
He's probably loving life at this point. Yeah, that stunk for a day. Then it got really good. But anyways, all right, let's talk about one more quick thing before we move on and close this thing out. I want to talk about something that we don't talk about very often here at Hot Hardware, and that is really small peripherals, specifically mice. We don't do a lot of mice reviews, but I actually took a look at the Logitech MX Master mouse. This is really a business-targeted mouse and I don't want to say business professional targeted mouse. Premium design, really nice. It's not a gaming mouse per se. It's a wireless mouse. But it is the probably I think maybe the third or second iteration of the MX series, and it is fantastic. They actually really amped up the design on this thing. It's got a side scroll wheel for horizontal scrolling, as well as an absolutely cool clutch mechanism for vertical scrolling built into the scroll wheel on top. Let me share this out, and you guys can take a look at this. Hang on one second. Yeah, come on, you. There we go. Present to everybody. So there it is. There, beautiful design. There's sort of a mosaic polygonal pattern over here in the thumb rest area. Here's the scroll wheel on the side, the horizontal scroll wheel, and of course the vertical scroll wheel on top. Vertical scroll wheel has that clutch mechanism that if you just click slowly or with not a lot of force, you'll scroll down, click by click like a traditional scroll wheel. If you flick it, it goes into freewheel mode and spins infinitely. It actually has sort of a weighted freewheel spin to it, and it's fantastic. It'll just keep scrolling for those infinity scroll, perpetual, forever pages that you might be on, and just really cool effect. And then that little button on top, if you want to keep it engaged in freewheel hyper scroll mode, they call it, I think. You can do that. I don't like it that way. I like being able to switch between, and the clutch mechanism that it has is actually, really cool that way. That design. Little drawback here. There's two little buttons on the side by the horizontal scroll wheel that are for back and forward actuation, and they're a little too small. But other than that, probably the best mouse I've ever used. And if you're gaming and you need some really fast twitch response, you're going to want a wired mouse, like maybe like I use a G9 for gaming, Logitech G9. What do you guys think of this guy, the MX Master? It's back. It's sort of amped up for the latest gen. Took Logitech a couple of years to come out with a new iteration, and I think they hit it out of the park with this thing.
Yeah, it's pretty beautiful. And although it's not targeted as a gaming mouse, so many casual gamers are using crappy mice. It's probably better than those in that regard, just because of the quality and the quality of the sensor and the good tracking. The looks of that mouse are awesome. And on a related note, another Facebook post I saw a Logitech employee. I'm not going to name her just out of courtesy, but Logitech sent her one, in like a customized one with her name engraved on it. It looked awesome. It looked really like I wanted it because of that. I was like, oh, I need that. But yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, we don't often think about reviewing mice here. It's just one of those things. It's a peripheral that's sort of. I mean, there's some really cool gaming mice that for gamers it's important equipment, obviously. But we haven't done a lot of coverage. But this thing was really a standout, and yeah, beautiful design. And actually, I forgot to mention that it has the dark field. Ooh, sounds kind of scary, right? Dark field laser technology that actually will. There's blue laser technology, all kinds of different laser technology out there for tracking. It'll track on glass, on virtually any surface. Glass, as long as it meets, I think it's 4 millimeters thick, and the tracking on it was awesome. It was very accurate. 1600 DPI, so the resolution's good. But yeah, and it actually looks great on a desk, which is like, I don't know, a little bit of respect for the mouse,
How's the weight feel?
The weight's good. I like a heavier mouse. It's one of the things I liked about the G9 is you could load it up with some lead weights that they give you just to give it a little bit more feel. It's good. I'd like it a little bit heavier, but I got big mitts and I like a heavy mouse, and so I'm probably in the minority. But yeah, nice mouse.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, we figured we'd toss it out there and say kudos to Logitech. We gave them an editor's choice. It's 99 bucks, a little bit pricey, and but easily one of the best mice we've ever used. Oh, the other thing, it's got built-in LiPo batteries, so you plug it in. It's got a USB to micro USB cable. You plug it into your computer, and it would act like a normal wired mouse, and charge. And if I guess on a full charge, it's like capable of like 40 days of uptime, but in like a minute, it'll give you an hour of uptime. So really cool. Wireless mouse, no batteries
We should
required.
mention too that hopefully you don't have to use it, but Logitech support is really good. I've had to contact them a couple times throughout the years, and their support is top notch.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I forgot to mention, this mouse keeps going on and on. Let me show this out too. We're still going on about it, but here's the bottom of it. It's got actually 3 channels. As you can see down here, there's a button. So it's got onboard Bluetooth. It'll pair with any Bluetooth-enabled PC or notebook. It's got the dongle that comes with it, the Logitech dongle. So it can connect to up to 3 different devices via Bluetooth or that dongle simultaneously, and you can switch between them with that button on the bottom. So, very flexible, and you can imagine this thing controlling a desktop, a notebook, heck, maybe a tablet all at once on your desktop. So not bad. Check it out. 99 bucks. Yeah, we gave them an editor's choice because that was some pretty nice innovation for a mouse. Good job, Logitech. Marco.
Yes.
We are cooking up some giveaway goodness, right?
We are. We're still not ready to announce the finer details. We are working with Gigabyte, our friends at Gigabyte, makers of awesome motherboards and graphics cards. And something will be coming with Gigabyte stuff either in it or just featuring Gigabyte stuff. Gigabyte is going to hook up HotHardware readers. We just don't quite know exactly what it's going to be, but we will be able to tell you all soon.
I would say, if I were a betting man, I would say it's probably enabled with a Z170, easy for me to say, chipset motherboard,
Yes.
and probably Skylake of some variant.
That is the plan. There will be Z170 involved. What else is piled on that is what we're working out.
Will you build it?
I hope I get to build something, yes.
We could let Paul build it.
I'm not letting Paul build a PC. No way, not that guy.
You get like
Thanks for the confidence, Marco.
get like peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the inside and stuff like that, wouldn't he? Yeah. Hey, don't mind the Frito dust. It brushes off easy.
I left the bag in there for you. There's some extra.
Yeah. Then again, if I build it, it's whoever. If I build a PC, whoever gets it, don't be surprised if there's a ton of cat hair in it. It's just how it goes when you got a long hair cat in the house.
Cat hair. Great, great. Yeah, we're pros here. Thumbs up.
It's clean for 10 minutes, but after 10 minutes, everything is better with cat hair.
I jest. You actually build some of the tidiest PC builds I've ever seen that we've given away at HotHardware, and we tend to have almost a giveaway a month. Not necessarily always a full system, but some sort of really good gear. And when you do build a system, it is so meticulous inside the cable routing, the origami, as you call it, of cable routing in that thing that you could eat off the inside. Maybe some cat hair you got to brush away, but
that's my favorite thing. My favorite thing in the world, man. The nuts and bolts and the tech. I love telling people about it. I love hanging out with my boys at HotHardware. But at the foundation, man, is the tech. I love to get my hands in there. I love to work with it. So
you're nothing but a PC grease monkey. That's what you are. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, at any rate, thank you for joining us today, folks. If you want to find us elsewhere on the web, certainly you're probably watching us on the Google Hangout now at YouTube or on our Google Plus page, youtube.com/HotHardwareVids. Google Plus is like plus HotHardware plus whatever that URL is, but look for us on G Plus HotHardware, twitter.com/HotHardware, facebook.com/HotHardware. And check out the site for all of the review goodness and some upcoming giveaways and sweepstakes we've got with some really cool tech from our friends at Gigabyte. And Marco, Paul, anything else to offer for the fine listeners?
Yes. Have a good weekend, everybody. I'm going to.
Put out the sleep vibes for me, brothers. I need to go sleep.
Marco just got off the red eye. Thank you for sticking it out, buddy. Thank you for showing up, for posting today, brother.
My pleasure. Anything for the hot hardware fans out there.
And thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Take care. Have a great weekend.